Reverend Dr. Michael McMorrow coming to you live from the sanctuary at the Center for Spiritual Living in Granada Hills, California. We're located in the North San Fernando Valley. And we're delighted to have you joining us here tonight. If this is your first time joining us, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. And that will alert you, and the notification bell, and that'll alert you for any time we're live. So, but for right now, we're going to get started. I have with me one of our practitioners here at the center, Rosalie Bate, who will be our presider this evening. And so it's wonderful to have you joining us online, and wonderful to see you back again. So let's just start by taking a deep conscious breath. Maybe bringing the lights down a wee bit. Yes, thank you. As we come together for our call to service, which we call lighting the flames of faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all people, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. That fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here this evening. So as Rosalie lights the first candle, it's for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. Thank you. We light the second candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. The sixth candle we light for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. The eighth candle we light for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And the 10th candle we light for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of Spirit in their lives, for the space we hold for them here in our sanctuary, within our online community, and of course, within our own hearts. And as Rosalie lights the healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experienced the healing flame of God's eternal love.
I'm thankful, so grateful. I'm one with the Spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I surrender. I'm one with the Spirit all around me. I surrender. surrender. I trust in God.
And yes, we trust in God so deeply and completely that only the truth of God lives in us, that only the truth of God becomes in us. And as we know that we are divine creators in our essence, we live, move, and have our being with the consciousness of God. And everything that we know is in our inner knowing, that we can absolutely choose the highest good for ourselves and for other people as well. And that choosing absolutely allows our thinking to have the mind of God. And we can choose to be loving. We can choose to be knowing. We can choose to be happy. We can choose to be abundant. And we can choose all of these things because God has given us the power to create just as God creates. And so I now know this for each one of us. As we are divine creators, we can release anything which does not serve us and absolutely embrace the good, live the good, and love the good as God is good in us and everyone. And together we can say, and so it is. So, being the month of love in February, I thought that it would be good to focus a little bit on self-love, because that's one of the challenges, especially as women, that we often have. And when I was a child growing up, I used to watch I Love Lucy, and maybe other people have also. And one of the quotes from Lucille Ball is, "Love yourself first, and everything else falls in line." And I thought that was just perfect. And way back when she was doing Lucille Ball, in the 50s or 60s, it was, women were not the highest level of contributors on the planet, but she certainly was just a wonderful, funny, just enlightened kind of person. So, I was thinking about the levels of love that we need to give ourselves. Falling in love with yourself is this month also. It's not just falling in love with other people. So one of the first steps that we need when we're falling in love with ourselves is to understand with self-clarity what we need to shift in our own life and how we need to shift our own beliefs so we can see what we're doing and how we're thinking, so that our thinking may be on a level of I'm not good enough, or I'm not wanted, or I'm not smart, or whatever it is, and the latest thing, I can't do this technology, which we're all challenged with these days. So one of the things that we have experienced here in the Center for Spiritual Living is we had a man come from Hawaii who brought a really incredible something to a hospital. It's called Ho'oponopono, and he took this ability to pray to this hospital, and he was able to empty this psychiatric hospital to the point where they were completely surprised because he took this Ho'oponopono. And so I thought maybe it would be good just to share a little bit of this. Ho'oponopono is a Hawaiian process. And the way that it works is you say to yourself, please forgive me for whatever the situation is, and thank you, I love you. And that's Ho'oponopono. So whatever the situation is, even if you're doubting yourself, you can say, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you. And you lift the vibration of yourself. And there it develops self-compassion in yourself. And you can treat yourself with the same compassion that you treat others. So many of us treat our family and our children with great love and care. But self-compassion is really important, especially this month on love. And to practice nurturing yourself is another step. And sometimes it's a little bit challenging because we're not in the habit of nurturing ourselves. And nurturing ourselves might be simply take a drink of water when you need it, or stretch, or relax, or take a walk, or whatever those things happen to be, that you listen to yourself and then you open to receive the gracious, loving kindness that God has for you. So one of the secrets for nourishing yourself is learning to have mindless fun, something that we rarely learn in this age anyway, how to just go off and have mindless fun. So I just encourage us all to try that. And thank you for being here tonight.
All right. Thank you. Mindless fun. Self-care could also be, taking time to meditate with friends. So nice to have friends like tonight. So nice to have friends here with us tonight. Good to have you joining us online as well. And so today is February 1st. That just blows my mind that it's February 1st already. Been very busy. I've been doing my least favorite thing in ministry for the last few days, which is paperwork. Yeah. And I think part of it is because I have to admit I'm just not really good at it. But that's for the person on the other end to deal with once it leaves me. So anyway, that's part of my mindless fun, I guess, is inflicting them with my poor paperwork. But as you were saying that, I was thinking about how Stephanie is really into fostering dogs, which we have been doing. We're sort of doing it before the pandemic, but we really got in, I should say. It's like she really got into it. And I have to say, when you get, I don't know if you've had animals in your life, and when you have one animal, you kind of have a relationship with it. But when you have more than one in the household, then you really get a sense of the personalities that animals have. And they have different personalities. And so I was thinking one of the mindless fun, because one of the things that I've observed with being around these dogs is just how in the moment dogs can be. Particularly younger dogs who are content to chase a ball and to just to love being able to run and to jump and to just connect with that. And I have found that for myself, it also lifts my own spirit to watch you carry on. So anyway, that's where I went when you were talking about that. Something as simple as hanging out with another animal. And today is being the 1st of February, so 35 years ago today, I put the plug in the jug. So yeah, I've been doing that now for a while, and my recovery program is what led me to Signs of Mind, and I always felt like, even in 12-step, I felt like, boy, if there was a church that taught this kind of stuff, I would totally be there. And then I stumbled into this place, and I've always kind of felt like religious science is kind of like 12-step church in many ways. Not exactly, but so I've gotten a lot out of being here, obviously. It's also St. Bridget's Day, which Imbolc is the Gaelic word for it. St. Bridget is big in Ireland. So you have St. Patrick is the patron saint. St. Bridget is the patroness of Ireland, and she's been getting a lot more visibility in Ireland lately. But through the centuries, there were places of healing throughout Ireland, and I know in America as well. We're just not as aware of them, possibly, but certainly in Ireland, because there are many wells. They're scattered all over the island, and there are many. There's not just one St. Bridget well or St. Patrick's well, and each one has its own little mythology. Who knows if it's true, right? So a myth is usually a story that has a seed of truth in it somewhere if you go back far enough. And so Bridget, so there's many myths about her, but she is known as, from Neolithic times, that it's not quite a fertility goddess, but I suppose that would be as good a way to explain it. They believe that she's tied to the lambing season in Ireland. And I think I was saying last week that she became, well, today's word would be appropriated. But I would say that seems a bit harsh. I think she became melded into the early Christian church, because she did come out of the pagan or Celtic tradition. And so these wells were places of healing. And some are quite elaborate. I've visited, I don't know, half dozen of them. There's one very nice one near, so we've had Dr. Mary Helen Hensley has been here. Remember, she did the presentation on sound healing and vibrational healing. She's out of Athlone, which is kind of central Ireland. Anyway, there's a very beautiful, elaborate well there that's next to a church, and it's obviously, even in its current format, it's, several hundred years old, as most of these places are. And there's something about, and I'm not one who really thinks like this, but there is something energetically. You do kind of feel like you are in an energetic of the sacred. And I think why it's kind of an important holiday in today's world is because it's acknowledging once again that there is such a thing as a sacred feminine. If you think back to ancient times, right, to see a woman giving birth to a human baby when you didn't know all the things that we know today, it must have seemed like a miraculous, and it is. It is a miraculous thing, not just for human birth, but for any kind of birth to take place. And that there is a connection to the sacred with it. So whether it's with Bridget in Ireland, Saraswati, so a Welsh minister friend of mine who's really into Hinduism was telling me that Saraswati actually wears a lot of the same garments. And of course, the colors of the garments and so forth have significance. And so within the Hindu tradition, there are many goddesses that honor the divine feminine. And today, we have teachers such as Matthew Fox and Richard Rohr, who are both priests, who are also speaking to and elevating the idea of the sacred feminine, whether it's Julian of Norwich or what's the gal from Bingen, Germany? It's right. here, it'll come to me in meditation when I'm supposed to be quiet and not be thinking. Anyway, it'll come to you later if you're not already putting it in the chat. But these women have been really recognized and being elevated, right? And then there was Saint Clare, who was a close associate of Saint Francis back in the day. So we have this tradition. It's been kind of pushed down a little bit, I think. So I think it's a wonderful way of well, not only honoring women generally, I should say more openly, but also to understand that there is a component to the divine that has within that this notion of the creative impulse of life has a heritage within it, within spirituality, of birth and creation, is that aspect of the divine feminine. And so when we understand that we have both the masculine and the feminine within us, particularly for Neanderthal men, like I'm a recovering Neanderthal, to understand that we have within us a feminine aspect, and that it's actually a strength rather than a weakness. When we fight it or deny it, then we're actually denying a part of ourselves, right? Whether it's a woman denying her masculine side or men denying the feminine side. So I just thought we would maybe meditate on opening ourselves up to the divine feminine. And so when you think, I'll put the question to you, when you think of the feminine in the human realm, so you may think of motherhood, of, well, of course this is from a male perspective, of softness perhaps. Now I've always had strong women in my life, so strength is actually one of the things that I think of. And to consider, as we open ourselves up to having a deeper experience of the divine, if we're not used, if we have a more of a masculine model in our mind of what the divine is, maybe in our meditation tonight, maybe we can just allow those ideas to just kind of dissolve and see if something arises out of that. So anyway, happy St. Bridget's Day. So if you've ever seen those crosses made with the rushes, right, that's a St. Bridget's cross. So in America they call it wiregrass, but in Ireland they're rushes. It's that really heavy grass where you can see them like in meadows, like a wetland kind of meadow area. I haven't seen them around here though. Anyway, enough of that. Let's meditate. All right, so let's just take a deep breath together and release as we just check our seat. Get our wiggles and jiggles out. Maybe rotate the neck around a little bit. The one thing, sitting too much at the computer, that really gets the shoulders tight. So just gently moving into the moment, bringing our attention to the breath. more specifically the movement of the breath in the nostril. And let's take a deep breath together and just feel that exhale and just allow ourselves to surrender to this moment. Claim it as our own. To see this moment as self-care. And tonight, as we set our intention, if you have an intention for the meditation this evening, maybe consider allowing the heart to open to this notion of the divine feminine. Creative impulse of both giving birth, midwifing something new, so we bring our attention, keep our attention on the breath then, as we gently scan the body, making adjustments, releasing tension from our feet up the leg, up the thigh, and how are the hips? Are they tight, open? Maybe take a breath, and on the exhale, feel a release into the hip area. Into the sit bones, bringing our attention to being anchored in this moment, anchored in the earth, the root chakra. Just bring our attention to the spine, which is erect, free of tension. The head balanced over the spine. Chin slightly downward. The tummy rises and falls easily as we breathe naturally. shoulders. Let's take a breath together, and on the exhale, see if we can release our shoulders just a bit more. So taking a deep breath. And feel the exhale. The shoulders released. Bring our attention now to the exhale. And on the exhale, see if you can release your face. The nostril. The cheeks. Maybe detect a sensation between and above the eyebrows. Or the crown of the head. As we take one more deep breath. Exhale. Focusing on the exhale breath now as we move into the silence now. For about 15 minutes or so. Staying with the breath. So again, as we know that the divine is everywhere present, then with each in-breath we are breathing in the divine, which is commingling with the divine within. There's this law of circulation going on, where the spirit moves in, fills those spaces within us with refreshment, restoration, to re-inspire us. So we imagine that flame of the divine within our heart center then. And with each in-breath we are fanning this flame of the divine. And this flame then grows with each in-breath, expanding, growing in radiance, in illumination, expanding, contracting with the breath, with the ebb and flow of the breath. This ball of light in our heart center expanding with each in-breath. Activating the deepest aspects of our being. This light now extending beyond the torso, side to side, front to back, top to bottom, that we're now sitting in a field of light, a field of love. That has the potentiality of great things. Staying with the breath, knowing this light, this field of energy, this mental atmosphere, this field of love is extending, commingling with our friends here in the sanctuary, and even extending beyond time and space, connecting with our friends joining us online, and even in the future with those who join us later. That there's an energetic of oneness now that we are experiencing as this field of light and love. And as we open ourselves up to the aspects of the divine feminine that have within them, within their root, of creativity, of birth, of compassion, a quality of caring for others. So that we know that in this field of light and love now, that there is but one power, one presence, one source, one life, one living intelligence. It is the wellspring of love itself. That we're now knowing that at every aspect of this physical expression of the spirit incarnate within our own bodies, that at an atomic level, at the smallest bits of our being, that there is an alignment with the pattern of perfection, that is the divine establishing its sovereignty within the body temple, activating every atom, every molecule, every cell, every organ, every muscle, every bone, every sinew, every neuron, the various systems, the circulatory system, our respiration now is activated and aligning with a pattern of perfection that is expressing itself now as radiant good health in every way, that we feel a sense of restoration within the body temple that allows us to feel an up leveling in our energy, in our way of being in this moment, where we recognize and celebrate that we are awake, aware, and alive. We take a deep breath, releasing that, and staying with the breath, that we are now opening our mind to new and creative and dynamic ideas for any situation or circumstance that we may have brought with us this evening, that we know that within any seeming challenge, the solution is already in place. And so we are opening ourselves up to a divine download, either now or in an insight later, perhaps even in the dream state, that we are open and receptive to a divine download for these an expression of thought that raises the current expression of our life so that it is activated energetically in a way of moving from good to greater good. So we take a deep breath and releasing that, and feeling the release for our relationships now. We know that we are open and receptive to relationships in the home, on the job, within our community, that are connected, that are an expression of mutual respect, of deep compassion, and opportunities met for expressions of loving kindness with others, for an opportunity to practice compassion and loving kindness with ourselves. That we know that to express love more fully, we want to be more loving and even more courageous in our expression of love and acts of compassion and loving kindness with all we meet. So we take a deep breath there and release, as we just know finally that within this power and presence then, and within this field of conscious unity with the one Spirit, that we are releasing all of these various components of focus for our life and for the lives of others, that we take a deep conscious breath one more time and release, feel the release and the release of this thought form now in ways of language, of feeling, of whatever modality that are now impressing themselves upon the one mind of the living Spirit, the living intelligence, the sweetness of the living Spirit, that we know this is where the work is done. So we're just releasing it all now with deep gratitude and confidence, knowing it is done, knowing it is so. We take a deep breath and just let it go. And so we know further that as we leave here this evening, we arrive home in safety and good order, making our way through the rest of our evening as we find our way to our beds. As the head hits the pillow, we drift off easily and effortlessly to sleep, dreaming sweet dreams, sleeping deeply and restfully, and westfully too. And we're just enjoying a deep restorative sleep that we awaken feeling with a sense of restoration, a sense of vim and vigor and a zest for life that allows us to move through our day knowing that each one of us is the demonstration of the divine at work. And so is everyone else too. So we take it one more final breath. And just that final release. It is done. And so it is. Amen. So thank you, those of you online, for joining us. Again, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. And if you do that, then you'll get a little ding on Sunday mornings. You can watch us on Sunday morning, different program with music and sharing and a message. And a lot more people coming back. So if you're local and you're curious, just stop on in and see if you can't find a spiritual home with us. We'd love to have you. And great having you all here in the sanctuary as well. So until then, see you later. Know that you're loved. Peace and blessings, and we'll see you next time.